I am from EdTech Estonia. EdTech Estonia is an umbrella organization. We're a non-profit for educational technology companies. Most of those are startups, and they cover really the whole spectrum of education, from toddlers to adult learning and anything and everything in between. But today I have the pleasure to talk a little bit more broadly about Estonia and our digital education, specifically focusing on higher education. So let's move on. Here are just some statistics. With Tiger Leap, we think, oh, Estonia was one of the early adopters of technology and early adopters of innovation education. But as you can see, we were quite earlier there doing our thing. I think just the combination of things, what did Estonia bring to have that perfect storm of education and digitization in it as well? So PISA, everybody's heard of it, everybody knows the main statistics, but one thing that I really like is the statistic that 74% of students in Estonia believe that intelligence is something that they can change. So that there's hope in education. And we're #1 in all of the countries taking part in PISA on that statistic. Yay! I like the enthusiasm. Also, another thing, there is a lot of faith and trust in teachers and principals. That comes with autonomy. That means there's a lot of autonomy on deciding how to use the money. Obviously, the building has to stand, the teachers need to get paid, but the third pot, you can decide how your teachers need to teach to be the most effective. And that trust and that autonomy gives a lot of room for innovation. Another thing, unicorns. Estonia has the most unicorns per capita in Europe. I like it. Oh, that's a good group. I'll come back next year. Most unicorns, what does that have to do with education? Well, if Estonians see a problem, they want to fix it. There are a lot of young people who see education, they just came from it, they see an issue, they want to fix it. That's why in EdTech Estonia, I'm one of the oldest people there. So just to show you, young and the entrepreneurship mind is very strong. And also, 99% of our state services are online. Until recently, the only thing you couldn't do online was get divorced. But now I heard they fixed that. So anything and everything is possible to do it online. And if you can do everything, then you expect kids and adults to do education, to learn online as well. Let's move. Let's go back to Estonia regaining its independence. As you can see, everything went really quickly in a really short period of time. And you see, there's the law of education was at the same year then that student companies became a real thing. So yes, obviously one seems to be so much more important than the other, but it shows that entrepreneurship and education have gone hand in hand over the last 30 years in Estonia. And obviously the Tiger Leap program, which is, what most people have heard of when they know about education in Estonia. I remember 1997, I had my first computer class at school. The school was ice cold, the paint was chipping, but we had computers. So it's just, when I work with delegations, oftentimes they say, well, Estonia is so small, you guys can do it. Well, we didn't have any money, but we put the little bit that we had into developing infrastructure. And by 2001, all schools had internet connection. So we were ahead of the curve by a mile. Let's move on. And coming into the 2000s, eSchool, which is one of the main school management systems in Estonia, has been around since 2002 and is going strong. Basically, you have a generation of parents who had digital education while they were at school. They want their kids to have at least better than they had. So there's not much convincing that we have to do in Estonia to say, are we using digital solutions or a book? In Estonia, it's more, are we using Estonian digital solutions or Google? So the mentality is already something that we come with by a long run. Also, a state database to bring all the information together. It's been 20 years, still in use. they got not just the education side, but also the administration side. To let's put all the knowledge into certain places, and let's fund those places. Also, lifelong learning. One thing, a great statistic is in Estonia, 25 to 64-year-olds, 21% of those adults are in lifelong learning. That's double the average in Europe. So there is a want and a need to continue lifelong learning, and that was discovered early on. We can't sit on the successes that we had. We have to keep developing, and that mentality is also in the young people, in the adults going forward. And as you can see, digitizing all digital materials by 2020, instead of a lot of countries who started in 2020 due to COVID. So that was already a great step ahead that we had. And when I say digitize, I don't mean PDFs, just to put that clear. There's completely all materials are digitized. So a lot has happened in a short period, but let's go into the here and now. A little bit about the EdTechs. As you can see, this is just a really brief overview. There's a second slide, so don't be worried about higher education, lifelong learning. In Estonia, as I said, the solutions cover the whole basis. However, most solutions are for K-12, and after that comes adult learning. This is just because higher education is mainly covered by foreign solutions already, and there isn't just so much of a need in the market other than maybe admissions solutions. So that's why they are covered. But the broad spectrum, there was obviously a push in 2020 with COVID and a lot of EdTechs coming up then, but plenty of them also in EdTech Estonia been at it for 8 years, 10 years, 15 years. So they are people who know what they're doing. Let's move on. And that's why also the downturn in startup funding hasn't hit us as strongly as some other countries. A lot of countries said, hey, let's go back to classroom learning. Let's just kind of throw it all away, what we learned. But since those EdTechs had been around before, they took what they learned from that time and they're continuing to adopt. That's why most of them are still around today. A little bit about Estonian higher education. I feel a bit like a fool saying that because I've never studied in an Estonian university. But that was because when I graduated in 2008, I wanted to really do filmmaking. And that's a long story how I ended up with EdTech, but there was no way to study filmmaking for free because only in 2012 did all Estonian language programs in higher education become free. But it's just kind of an overview of how the structure looks like so that the following slides would make more sense to you. Let's move on. So why does higher education push itself as well towards more digital solutions? Why not, get them all the digital knowledge that they need in school, and then once they go to higher education, let's have more traditional values, knowledge, so on. Well, there are a lot of reasons, but a few just to showcase is educational technologists, for example. Educational technology specialists are something that you can learn in a separate master's program in Estonia at Tartu University and also at Tallinn University, whose representatives we have here as well. Those are not computer teachers. Those are not a teacher who's like really, really passionate about IT. It's somebody who went through schooling for it, and they are a separate support. So staff feel supported when they are planning their teaching, and also how to integrate ICT into that teaching. And also 40% of ICT students in Estonia are female. I don't know about you, but a lot of, especially tech events where I go to, I think the room needs a little diversity, so I'm really happy that we're #1 in Europe for that as well. But yeah, just an overview again, the stats of the universities that we have in Estonia, because I decided to kind of look at it a little bit more into detail, and it took me a while to figure out which university to choose, but I went with, there's a case study later coming on, but I went with a smaller university. Obviously, bigger universities, they have the history, they have the staff, they have the money, but I decided on a smaller one, but let's move on. So before that, again, what are the reasons? The why question. Not just having technology for the sake of it, not just because it's in right now. How to really understand why we're pushing for more technology. One thing, we're lacking engineers. A study said that by 2030, Estonia is going to lack 2/3 of the engineers we need, homegrown engineers. That is massive, and that is soon. We need to get people interested in STEM. And as I think a lot of other countries have the problem, not enough teachers. Teachers are getting older. We need solutions to use the teacher's time most effectively. That means bureaucracy, cutting it down to a minimum, automating a lot of the bureaucratical things that they have to do. Another thing is the STEM solutions that we have out there, especially for 7th, 8th grade. That's kind of the time when a lot of kids and young people decide where they go or what field they exclude. I mean, there's solutions in Estonia like Futuglass. It's VR glasses where you can do chemistry escape rooms. Basically, you have to literally put together chemistry, different atoms, and my chemistry not so good, but you can't get out of the room before you make that happen. I don't know about you, but I think my chemistry would have been a little bit better if I had those options. It's like really makes me want to go back into school, and that's where a lot of kind of the interest comes from. We're lacking the professionals. We need to put money into digital solutions. Another thing is, another member of our Skodiofi. It's a programming school based on a French model, but it was started by startup staff. Basically, startups saw they don't have the staff that they need for the future. They don't have the programmers, they don't have the ICT staff. So what did they do? They put their money where their mouths are. They started the school, they funded the school. So the school doesn't have any teachers, it's a hybrid format, but because it started by the industry, the job prospects are so much better. And it's all about IT, ICT programming. Reskilling needs. A lot of places in Estonia, especially in Eastern Estonia, used to have jobs related to mining and things like that. There's not much need for that now, but there's reskilling needs. You have adults who want to work, let's teach them how they can work, and we need to do that while they are working somewhere. They need that flexibility. And that's why, you know, there's solutions like Cerebrum Hub, 6 months programming skills, and they boast a 60% employment rate within 1 year. Again, another issue is Asia and the USA, they're not sleeping. They're developing their EdTech, and if Europe and if Estonia doesn't come along, we're going to get overrun by it. And I personally think that there should be a possibility for every kid and every adult in formal education to study in their mother tongue. And Google and all the big ones, they will not translate everything into Estonian, or at least it's not a priority on their list. And Estonian EdTech can foster that. That's why technology is big. We have business and science parks, some of the biggest in the Baltics. Technopol started together with Taltech, which is the Tallinn University of Technology. So university researchers and startups working together from the start. So you don't have researchers who think, I don't know how to make money off of it, and then you have businesses who think, well, I know how to make money, but a researcher can validate my stuff, but that's about it. So how to get them all together at once and with universities together. And also, everything else is digitized, as I mentioned. But we need to be attractive for higher education students and staff. Yes, I mean, there are fans of Estonia everywhere, but we're still a formerly closed-off country with a language that pretty much nobody speaks. We need to make it attractive. We need to make it easy for people to apply to our universities. That's why digitization can help there. And as I mentioned, case study. I looked at TTK, which is Tallinna Tehnikakõrgkool. It's a mouthful in any language, but it's the 4th largest one. It offers more, as you can see, engineering, mechanics. It offers more practical things, but things and areas of study that could really benefit from technology. And their language of instruction is Estonian. So I looked at their development plan for 2021, 2025, and I looked for the words digital in any of its connotations. And I found five things in their development plan of the higher education institution which mentioned digital. First thing, they actually mentioned 2016 to 2020 plan. Their goal was that the university administration has been digitized, that the administration side is covered, and they were really proud of that. That is done. We can start building on it. So that was, you can see some examples here of the systems they're using. That was one of the 5. But the next 4 are where it gets interesting. You can it makes sense. First of all, it's staff, it's students, it's administration, and COVID. Those are kind of the 4 areas that were covered with the other points. One thing, keeping digital, pedagogical, and subject competences relevant. They worded it in a kind of a way around it, but I talked to the staff there as well, and that basically means peer learning. There's still staff members who are like, well, we kind of got the Zoom stuff, we kind of got the team stuff, let's go back now. And for those, peer learning is so much more effective, and the development plan discusses how to encourage staff to keep their digital skills up to date and not go back. Another thing is for the students, it's supplementing their learning devices. So basically using simulations and things. Imagine there are students who study city planning. If you just give them the tools to do it in person, but you didn't teach them, okay, there should be a fire truck could go through that you can do it all in a simulation, and it doesn't matter where you're located. That opens it up for so many more young people in studies. It doesn't matter if you're in Tallinn, in the capital, or if you're in a village of 20 people. You can still study it and safely and get that knowledge to go into the professional world. Another thing is the development of higher education digital systems. They said that they were satisfied with how they handled COVID and the digital connections that they built with their students and with their staff during that time, but they want to have a system in place if it happens again, so that you don't end up with having to rediscover the wheel again. So systemizing digital collaborative tools and interfacing the digital administration systems. As the last slide said, the administration systems, digitized, but now how to really build upon them and make sure they are all interfaced so you don't end up again, billing has one, the assistants have another system, how to really interface them. Let's go. So why? Why is TTK doing what they're doing? They have 5 things that they want to get done in 5 years. But why are they doing it? First of all, fulfilling some government regulations. Makes sense. I talked about innovation, freedom, trust. But the government regulations, there are certain systems that come with, paying the wages of the staff. That's from the government. And as one of the staff members there said, well, the government put money into it, it works, why shouldn't we use it? So that's one thing. Another thing is the expectation of flexibility. See, I thought it's the students. The students want to, sit at home in their comfy clothes and just join online. But no, it's the staff. At TTK, a lot of the staff want to either concentrate on research or they want to concentrate on engineering or whatever their profession is. And they actually expect possibilities to teach remotely. So that flexibility comes from them. Another thing is time saving. I talked about schools not having enough teachers. The same applies to university staff. If we don't have enough professionals, let's give them as much time to actually teach effectively as we can. So time saving, that's another thing they mentioned. Geographical coverage. In the 2010s, a lot of Estonian universities, they joined together with different colleges in Estonia to form, bigger units. But those colleges are in smaller places. And yes, Estonia, Tallinn, it's a capital city, but if you go lower than that, it does get remote quite quickly. So you might end up with having digital skills, the infrastructure, and the knowledge more in one place and less in the other, although the student is studying at that same university. But geographical things shouldn't be the deciding factor of what type of education they get from the same university, using technology there. And I wrote that the comment down from one of the staff members at TTK because I thought it was quite telling for itself. So digital collaboration tools get more attention, but are part of sensible staff training for comprehensive learning experience, starting from teaching methods and ending with design and support of e-course. From summer 2024, every subject taught has a designated e-support package to motivate staff. So every single subject is already covered from the whole institution. And I think that shows that they understand that staff need support, because if staff doesn't have it, the students don't get it, and that's where it all falls apart. So 2024 already. A few more whys. They mentioned competitiveness for international R&D projects. Yes, Estonia has the digital skills, the entrepreneurship, but still in a lot of Horizon projects, for example, there's like, oh, let's add somebody from Eastern Europe so we get another point for it. Let's diversify our geography. It is, that's what it was mentioned. I'm just, being the messenger, but TTK wants to be known for having the skills. So they want to be at the forefront of development, even though they aren't the biggest or the second or even the third biggest in Estonia. That's why they're putting money into digital skills, so that next time somebody comes up and says, hey, we should do a project because you are from, and they're like, no, because we have the digital skills actually to back it up. Another thing is environmental consciousness. It took me a really long time to find the printer for those sheets of my notes, because everything is paperless, and it's unimaginable in Estonia that somebody sends an email, prints it out, and has to file it somewhere. And that's the same thing. Paperless higher education is coming more and more strong and has been going for quite a few years. I mentioned the simulations. Another issue that they mentioned for them, especially in technology, it's really important. It costs money to get an actual train set. They have one train set. They're really proud of their train set. But imagine what could be done of having a digital simulation for all the students. I think, yes, you have to get your hands dirty. But for everything else, oh, am I awake? Because if that's not a nightmare, at least. That's going pretty well so far, I hope. Money. I thought, hey, digitization, money saving, that must be it. No, it's down the line. That was not mentioned as one of the main motivators for TTK and even other universities. It's something that comes with the process, trust the process. And then the strategy for the government obviously mentions digital skills. The strategy for general education mentions that besides knowing their subject, the teacher needs to have digital teaching skills. But there is nothing like that in higher education. There is no governmental deal that comes from high above, a regulation that says university staff needs to have digital skills. But in today's world, it's impossible not to have them. So every university is regulating it kinda in their own development plans. So here, TTK has hired 2 more educational designers in 2023, and in 2024, a separate one for STEM. So they're really getting the staff support you can only do so much with one educational technologist, but if every subject has a digital plan, you need to have the staff to back it up. So, why does the tiger leap? Competitiveness. We are competing for staff, we're competing for learners, and both national and international, and also those learners and staff want and need flexibility. So to continue being competitive in that sense, we need to continue building digital skills and digital infrastructure and software. Mentality and trust. As I mentioned, early adoption is what got us here, but keeping and developing it will get us further. And that means trust, both trust in e-society and also trust in our education and our educational staff. And time and environment. Less bureaucracy, keeping it paperless, really having entrepreneurial spirit to understand that competitiveness and quality and environment and sustainability can go hand in hand. So it's a collaboration. Could it be better? Sure. It is going pretty good. I wanted to even curse right now, but it's going pretty good. So that's definitely another aspect, and I would, competitiveness, mentality, trust, time and environment. I would say that's kind of the combination why the tiger leaps even in higher education, and it's the only sensible thing to do. AI, ChatGPT, all those buzzwords will come and go, well, not completely leave, but they will mainly be trends. It's about what's sensible for our education system, and right now and in the past it's been digitization and digital education. So we're going to continue it. Aitäh, which is thank you in Estonian.